Hello and welcome to my review of the Space Marines Black Templars Emperors Champion. This model was first available in the Black Templars Army Set box for £125, and recently he's been made available to be purchased separately for £23.50. There are a couple of other Emperors Champions models flying around, and we'll have a look at those later on. There's an old metal one, and then they brought out a fine cast one that looks similar to this, and now they brought out this one. So I guess it's the fourth one. That's unless they didn't turn the very old metal one into fine cast 2. I'm not quite sure whether they did or not. If you don't know what an Emperor's Champion is, essentially it is the hero in the Black Templars chapter who seeks out the leaders of the foe with sweeping blows from the black sword. And the first ever Emperor's Champion was of course Sigismund, and a very fine one he was at that. And ever since him there's been various different Emperor's Champions for the Black Templars. I will go through his rules later on in a video, but firstly I'll look at the detail of this miniature, compare him to other new Black Templars models, and then we'll look at the rules at the end. So this Black Templars model, it's Primaris. It's a nice one. The sword is absolutely huge. I've just got a Marshall here, just to give you an idea of like a normal size sword. I mean, you look at that. It's so, I mean, you look at that, it's so long and heavy, but yeah, they wield it pretty nicely. But big long sword for this Emperor's Champion. He's got his hand, instead of a fist, he was clenching his fist in the previous iteration, he's just holding some beads and a little Aquila symbol. His armor plating is quite bespoke. I'm not sure I'm a massive fan of the tabard under this chest plate. It's almost like he's got power armor and then this on top. Yeah, I'd much rather have him with the tabard over the top. But there we go. He's got this lantern type thing. He's got a bit of the tabard sweeps around his right leg and back out the other side. He's got some long scrolls. He's got a little flask. He's got his bolt pistol in there. He's got his tactical rock, which a lot of miniatures seem to have now. Got the Templar symbol and the power plant. Nothing fancy about the power plant really. He's got a wreath on the top. His helmet does look very nice, and of course the sword says Imperator Lux on it, and it's chained to his wrist. This is a common feature for Black Templars to have their melee weapons chained to them, and there's some good reasons behind that. Anyway, that is the Emperor's Champion. Really nice looking model, huge sword. Let's compare him to the other Templars models then. Okay, so after months of wading through my Space Marine collection, there are so many boxes just full of Space Marines. I've got a full Titan box full of Terminators. Enough about that. I found the Emperor's Champions. Now, I think I was wrong at the start of the review when I said they went from this Emperor's Champion, which I got a long time ago. I'm thinking I bought this one in 1996, 97. It's got 1992 on the base, but you know, Goblin Green bases, 25mm, dual wielding Emperor's Champion, and I just thought that he looks so cool. His tabard was initially white. I've painted it grey to then put some white over it, so it's a work in progress. You know, almost 30 years old, but I absolutely loved it. His sword is really quite thick though, as you can see. I don't think that's going to cut through much, but that's what we had at the time. So that's the original OG Emperor's Champion model from such a long time ago, and then this is the mistake I made. I think I said the next iteration went straight to fine cast. It didn't, it was actually in metal. So this is the one that we're used to, with his clenched fist, still on the 25mm base. They then turn this into fine cast. It says Del Castigator on his sword. The OG one doesn't say anything. But yeah, we've gone from this sword to this one, which I think is a similar length, and now we're at this sword, which is again a similar length. So, well, I mean, if you put it there, the pommel's longer, but overall, it's a similar length. So remarkable, isn't it? After 30 years, the sword length hasn't really changed that much. But you compare this Emperor's Champion to this one, and yes. Obviously, this is a Primaris, so he's crossed the Rubicon. Look at the difference there. Do not talk to me or my son ever again. Fantastic, isn't it? So yeah, that's the differences in the Emperor's Champions that we've had. I was looking for a plastic one, and I realised that I had two metal Emperor's Champions. So what I've done is I've used the sword on another like normal Space Marine and equipped him with something else. Maybe you'll see him one day, I'm not sure. But anyway, I just wanted to show you the Emperor's Champion comparisons compared to other Black Templars Space Marines, such as the Sword Brother and the Marshal. Same size base as the Marshal, contains less parts than the Marshal, but is actually £2.30 cheaper. One of the main reasons why he is cheaper is, even though he consists of less parts, he is a one-off model and you can only have one in your army, where Marshals you can have multiple and they do have different weapon options. But this is a classic example here of them pricing miniatures based on sales. They predict that they're going to sell more Marshals than Emperor's Champions, so they bumped up the price a little bit for him. Because in reality, the Marshal has 2 sprues and consists of more parts. Compared to the Sword Brother, the sword is, of course, a bit shorter on the Sword Brother, but there we are, same size base. I suppose you could use the Emperor's Champion as a Sword Brother if you wanted to, if you're short of them, because it's on the same size base and it's same size, Primaris size. Speaking of which, let me just show you some comparisons with some standard Imperial minis. So we've got the normal Space Marine there on the left, which I think, yeah, sort of with sizes all involved. The newer sort of plastic Space Marines are a bit larger. There was a size creep going from the metal models to the newest plastic. That's one of the newest plastic standard Space Marines. This is a Primaris, so a little bit taller than him, just a little bit, but that is because of the pose and he's standing on the rock. And then Sly Marbo is quite small compared. The one thing this model reminds me of, other than the older Emperor's Champions models, is the newer Primaris releases, such as the Judicia right here with the missing shoulder pauldron, and just the normal blade guard. You know, there's a lot of swords, power swords in this new Primaris force, and yeah, that's kind of what he reminds me of right now. The last part of my review today will be a review of the Emperor's Champion's rules. Unlike the Castellan and the Marshal, the Emperor's Champion does get its own data sheet. Even though the Castellan has the same rules as the Lieutenant and the Marshal has the same rules as the Primaris Captain, it would have been nice just to include them in the Black Templars supplement. I know it's a supplement, but sometimes Games Workshop, it does pay to not be too rigid with not including the units that are in another big codex. And it would have been a nice way to show off the Castellan and the Marshal more by including like a big picture of them underneath. You know, more advert, more promotion of them, more sales of them, but they're sticking very true to the Codex Astartes, it would seem. Anyway, the Emperor's Champion is an HQ choice. It's a power points cost of a 5 and a points cost of 100 points. This is one of the main reasons I always used to pick the Emperor's Champion. I think he was a straight up, I think he was 100 points back in the day. I'd have to have a look at my codexes from all those years ago. But I used to pick my old Emperor's Champion model, 2 units of 5 scouts, and then go crazy with everything else: Land Raiders, Terminators, Dreadnoughts, you name it. And he was a good solid HQ. Sometimes he'd survive, sometimes he wouldn't, but he was a cheap and cheerful HQ that didn't have too many things going on and wasn't a major loss if he was taken out. So his stat line reads: he's a movement of 6 inches, weapon skill 2+, ballistic skill 3+, strength 4, toughness 4, 5 wounds, 5 attacks, leadership 9, and a save of 2+. So that's quite a solid stat line, almost comparable to a Primaris captain, but just a little bit better than a lieutenant. Has the same weapon skill as the lieutenant, but a worse ballistic skill. Has the same number of wounds, but more attacks, better leadership, and a better save. The Emperor's Champion is equipped with a bolt pistol, black sword, frag grenades, crack grenades. Your army can only include 1 Emperor's Champion model. Bolt pistol, it's just a standard bolt pistol. It's not even a heavy bolt pistol. Works as usual. It's a range of 12 inches. It's a pistol 1 weapon, strength 4, AP 0, and a damage of 1. The black sword, this is one of the main reasons you'll get him, is he's got 2 profiles that can be used to attack with. It's a sweeping blow and a thrusting strike. Now the sweeping blow adds +3 to the strength. That's strength 7, AP -3, damage 2. That's great, and it makes use of his 5 attacks. The thrusting strike doubles his strength to 8. Armor penetration goes to -4, damage of 3, and each time an attack is made with this weapon's profile, subtract 1 from that attack, from that attack's hit roll. So it's like a power fist, but better, because the armor penetration is better and has more damage. In the old rules, it was more basic in that he could use the black sword single-handedly or double-handedly, and it was a similar kind of boost. It counted as a power fist. Abilities: Angels of Death. The Armour of Faith. This model has a 4+ invulnerable save. Now he didn't really have the Armour of Faith before, he just had 9 Halo, which gave him the 4+ invulnerable. Skillful Parry. Each time a melee attack is made against this model, subtract 1 from the hit roll. That's fantastic. If you get something that is even a weapon skill of 3+ or 4+, it's going to affect the number of hits getting through. Sigismund's Heir. Each time this model makes a melee attack against an enemy character unit, you can reroll the hit roll and you can reroll the wound roll. So again, this is such a character hunter, it's unbelievable. You know, even though you're hitting on the 2+, and potentially wounding on a 3 or maybe a 2+, you can still re-roll the hit roll and wound roll. Holy War Gear. This model can never be given any relics. It's fair enough. Martial Superiority. At the start of the fight phase, if this model is within engagement range of any enemy character units, it can fight first in that phase. So he's always going to fight first, no doubt, probably taking something out straight away. Honour or Death. This model is eligible to perform a heroic intervention if it is within 6 inches horizontally and 5 inches vertically of any enemy unit, instead of 3 inches horizontally and 5 inches vertically. Each time this model makes a heroic intervention move, so long as it ends that move either closer to the closest enemy model or within engagement range of an enemy character, it can move up to 6 inches. All other rules for heroic interventions still apply. Keywords: Imperium, Adeptus Astartes, Black Templars, Infantry Character, Primaris Emperors Champion. So there you go, a great looking model and some awesome rules. The only thing he's kind of missing is like mortal wounds. It would be great to have another ability built on his martial superiority, or even just the unrelenting stoic faith that Emperor's Champions have, that they're you know, fixed into the moment, and they can offer challenges as well. I think the old one used to be able to offer a challenge, so you could pick an enemy character and they would have their own little duel, and no other models could intervene. And that does happen a few times in books, to put it vaguely. I would have just added a couple more things there to him. But overall, for 100 points, you can't really go wrong. He's a great addition to any Black Templars force and really fits this new Primaris kind of aesthetic that they've gone for. What do you guys think of the Emperors Champion? Please do put your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below as always. It'd be great to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.